Rome wasn't built in a day, but its fall took centuries. Now, the Roman Empire is one of those things that everyone knows about, but not everyone knows much more than the fact that it existed. Most people have this vague idea that it was huge, powerful, and very violent, which is true, but leaves a lot to be desired in terms of details. So, in this video, we're going to talk about how Rome fell apart and stayed apart. Welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the fall of the Western Roman Empire. For more information, check out the description below for a link to a playlist with videos on ancient Rome and other ancient empires. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want us to keep making these videos. We are going to start by talking about Augustus because it is hard to imagine the Roman Empire without him. He inherited an empire from his great-uncle Julius Caesar, but really it was his adoptive father. Augustus was the first emperor of Rome. Under him, the Republic became an empire, and the title of emperor was born. Augustus reigned until 14 AD when Tiberius became emperor. The good times continued under him. Rome expanded into Germany and Dacia. However, the Julio-Claudian dynasty ended with the death of Nero in 68 AD. The next four emperors were part of a civil war known as the Year of the Four Emperors. This period of instability was followed by a period of relative peace known as the Flavian dynasty, which saw the conquest of Britain by Agricola and the reign of some pretty terrible emperors, including Domitian. The Antonine dynasty began with the accession of Hadrian to power in 117 AD. He was an excellent administrator, and under his rule, the empire reached its greatest territorial extent. After him, Marcus Aurelius became emperor. You probably know him from the movie Gladiator. He was actually a philosopher king who wrote Meditations, which is still read today. His adopted son, Commodus, was a spoiled brat and the last emperor of the Nerva Antonine line. From here, we go to the Severan dynasty, which had its ups and downs. Septimius Severus brought stability back to the empire, but he died on campaign in Britain and the empire was once again thrown into chaos. Caracalla, his successor, killed his own grandmother, Julia Maesa, and was assassinated soon after. The Severans got the provinces of Africa and Asia to rebel against Rome, weakening the empire even further. Elagabalus, the last emperor of this dynasty, enjoyed luxury and pleasure instead of ruling. In 218, Rome lost control of its most important source of grain. In 235, Elagabalus was assassinated by his own grandmother, Maesa. The next five emperors ruled for less than 2 years each. This was known as the crisis of the 3rd century. There was economic instability, rampant inflation, corruption, civil wars, and barbarian invasions. Diocletian put an end to this crisis with his reforms. He created a tetrarchy, a system of 4 rulers with 2 senior and 2 junior partners to help govern the growing empire. After Diocletian, the empire continued to prosper under his chosen successor, Maximian. However, there were several more periods of instability, the crisis of the 4th century and the revolt of the 8th. These events led to the final division of the empire between the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire. At its greatest extent, the Western Roman Empire encompassed territories that are now part of Portugal, Spain, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Northern Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro, Malta, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and North Africa. This vast territory was home to around 5 million people, with 1 million of them living in the Italian peninsula. The capital of Rome had a population of 1 million inhabitants, while other cities such as Carthage, Alexandria, and Antioch ranged between 300,000 and 500,000. Greek and Latin were the official languages of the empire, although many other languages were spoken throughout the territories. The economy of the Western Roman Empire was based on agriculture, mining, fishing, and trade. There was a flourishing of art and culture during this period, with notable works such as the Colosseum, the Pantheon, and the aqueducts. However, the empire was plagued by internal strife and external threats. Barbarian invasions weakened the borders, and the central government became increasingly corrupt and oppressive. By the 5th century, the Western Roman Empire had lost much of its territory and power. In 476 AD, the last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic leader Odoacer. The Eastern Roman Empire continued to survive for another 1,000 years, though. The fall of the Western Roman Empire can be attributed to a number of factors. One was the decline of civic virtue and the rise of corruption and decadence among the ruling class. Another was the increasing burden of taxation, which led to social unrest and economic decline. Additionally, the empire's vast size made it difficult to defend and maintain unity. As the Western Roman Empire declined, it was increasingly under pressure from outside invaders such as the Goths, Vandals, and Huns. These external pressures contributed to the empire's ultimate collapse. It would be a mistake to think that only Rome was to blame for its fall. If you want to learn more about the barbarian tribes that sacked Rome, check out our video on the topic. The end of the Western Roman Empire marked the end of classical antiquity and the beginning of the Middle Ages in Europe. It was a significant turning point in world history and had a profound impact on the course of Western civilization. So let's do a quick summary of the timeline so far. Augustus founded the empire in 27 BC, then we have Tiberius in 14, Caligula in 37, Claudius in 41, Nero in 54. Then comes the year of the 4 emperors, 69, Vespasian in 70, Titus in 81, Domitian in 96. Now comes the Antonine dynasty, Hadrian in 117, Antoninus in 138, Faustina the Younger in 140, Marcus Aurelius in 161, Commodus in 80. Then we have the Severan dynasty, Septimius in 193, Caracalla in 198, Geta in 209, Elagabalus in 218, Mesa in 222. From here we go to the crisis of the 3rd century, 235 to 284. Diocletian becomes emperor in 284, then Maximian in 305. Then we have the crisis of the 4th century, followed by the revolt of the 8. Finally, we reach the deposition of Romulus Augustulus in 476. So now let's talk about the legacy of the Roman Empire. Despite its eventual decline and fall, the Roman Empire left a lasting legacy on Western civilization. Its contributions to law, language, architecture, engineering, and governance had a profound impact on the development of European society and culture. Roman law, for example, provided the basis for many modern legal systems. Roman language and literature influenced the development of Romance languages and continue to be studied and admired today. Roman art and architecture inspired countless artists and architects throughout the centuries, and its engineering achievements such as roads, aqueducts, and bridges remain remarkable. The Roman Empire's system of governance and administration also had a lasting impact on Western civilization. Its emphasis on law and order, as well as its development of institutions and bureaucracy, helped to lay the foundations for modern democratic societies. The fall of the Western Roman Empire is often seen as a turning point in world history, marking the end of classical antiquity and the beginning of the Middle Ages in Europe. However, it's important to remember that the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, continued to thrive for another 1,000 years. The fall of the Western Roman Empire should not overshadow the significant achievements and contributions of the Eastern Roman Empire, which played a vital role in preserving classical knowledge and culture during the Middle Ages. So, what do you think? What was your favorite period of Roman history? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, check out my other content on ancient Rome. Thanks for watching.